Focused by design, building the life you actually finish. Introduction. Welcome to Focused by Design, building the life you actually finish. This audiobook isn't about fancy hacks or waking up at 4 a.m. It's about cutting through the noise, focusing on what truly matters, and building habits that help you finish what you start. Most of us feel busy but rarely feel accomplished. That's because productivity isn't about cramming more into the day. It's about doing fewer things, the right things with clarity and energy. Over the next hour, you'll learn how to separate real progress from busyness, find clarity on your top priorities, manage your energy and focus, beat procrastination and distractions, build steady momentum so you can complete the projects that matter most. You don't have to change everything overnight, just start with one step at a time. Now think of one unfinished goal that's been nagging at you. Hold that in mind as you listen. By the end of this audiobook, you'll have the tools to move it from someday to done. Let's dive into Chapter 1, the productivity myth, and rethink what productivity really means. Chapter 1, the productivity myths. If you've ever ended a long day exhausted yet strangely unsatisfied, you've already met the productivity myth. It's that nagging belief that being busy must mean being effective. We pack our schedules with calls, errands, and endless check boxes, convinced that the harder we push, the closer we get to success. But in truth, busyness often hides the fact that we're drifting, working harder on the wrong things. The trap of Mori. From childhood, many of us are taught that effort equals worth. Study more, work longer, hustle harder. So when we want to improve our lives, we instinctively add more apps, more habits, more commitments. We download productivity tools, sign up for challenges, even try to copy the morning routine of a billionaire we saw online. But imagine a car stuck in mud. Pressing the accelerator harder just spins the wheels faster without moving forward. That's what more does when it isn't guided by clarity. Busy not equal to productive. Busyness is activity, productivity is progress. The difference sounds simple, yet most of us confuse the two. Here's a quick test. Think back to yesterday. Which 3 tasks actually moved you closer to a meaningful goal? A finished project, a skill improved, a relationship strengthened. Now compare that to how much of the day was spent on email chains, small errands, or scrolling just for a minute. We often let urgency masquerade as importance. Urgent things, pings, notifications, requests from others, demand attention now. Important things, learning a new skill, building a side business, planning health routines, rarely shout for attention. Productivity means protecting the important, even when it isn't urgent. The multitasking mirage. Another common myth is that multitasking saves time. Research consistently shows the opposite. Every time you switch tasks, from a report to a text to a meeting, your brain pays a switching cost. You lose focus, then spend extra energy rebuilding it. Think of your attention as a spotlight. When it's aimed at one target, it's bright and sharp. When you spread it across 5 things, it's dim everywhere. Deep work requires a single beam of focus, not a strobe light flashing from one thing to another. Story: the designer's dilemma. Lee, a freelance graphic designer, used to pride herself on answering client messages instantly while juggling several projects at once. Her days were 12 hours long, but her deadlines kept slipping. One week she tried a simple experiment. She checked messages only at the start of every hour and worked on one design at a time. Within days, her stress dropped. Within a month, her turnaround time improved by 30%, with fewer hours at the desk. Lee hadn't worked harder, she'd finally stopped multitasking. Why we fall for the myths. We're drawn to the myth of busyness for 2 reasons: culture and comfort. Culture, in many workplaces, being seen as constantly busy signals importance. It feels safer to appear overloaded than to be caught with breathing room. Comfort, filling the calendar can be easier than facing one difficult but important task, the one that would really move us forward, but also carries risk of failure. Breaking free requires courage, the courage to focus on a few meaningful things and let the trivial many wait. A simple equation. Think of productivity as Productivity equals important work, distractions. Increase the numerator, spend more hours on what matters. Reduce the denominator, remove unnecessary tasks, interruptions, mental clutter. Both changes multiply your results. Most of us try only the first, piling on more effort. But the biggest gains often come from clearing away what doesn't deserve your time. Mini exercise your hidden time traps. Take a moment if you're not driving, pause and jot this down. 1. List 3 things you did yesterday that felt busy, but didn't truly matter to your main goals. 2. For each, ask, can I drop this, delegate it, or limit it to a small block of time? Even freeing up 30 minutes a day adds up to more than 3 extra workweeks of focused time each year. Redefining success. To truly be productive, you need a new measure of success. Not how many things did I do today, but did I move closer to the results that matter most? At the end of the week, if you've advanced 1 or 2 meaningful goals, you've been productive, even if the inbox is at 0. That shift in definition alone can lower stress and sharpen focus. Your takeaway. The productivity myth whispers that you just need to try harder. The truth is you need to try fewer things, more intentionally. Stop asking, how can I do more, and start asking, what deserves my best effort today? Closing thought for Chapter 1. Productivity isn't about squeezing life into tighter boxes. It's about clearing the clutter so your energy can flow where it counts. As we move forward, keep this in mind. Every yes you say to a low-value task is a silent no to the project or dream that could change your life. In the next chapter, Clarity is Power, we'll uncover how to identify those few high-impact priorities that deserve your focus, so you can design your days around progress, not busyness. Chapter 2, Clarity is Power. If Chapter 1 was about exposing the lie of busyness, this chapter is about the foundation that makes real productivity possible: clarity. Without clarity, your days fill up with activity that feels important in the moment, but leaves you wondering at night what you actually accomplished. Clarity is the compass that points your effort in the right direction, so that every hour invested pushes you closer to a meaningful outcome. The fog we live in. Most people start their day like a ship leaving harbor in heavy fog. They know they want to go somewhere better, but the next wave of emails or tasks pulls them sideways. At the end of the week, they've traveled far, but often in circles. The truth is, until you know exactly what matters most, anything can feel urgent and pull you off course. Urgent versus important. A common trap is confusing urgency with importance. Urgent things like notifications, last-minute requests, or that blinking email icon demand immediate attention. Important things like improving your health, finishing that degree, nurturing a relationship, or developing a new skill rarely shout for attention. Stephen Covey described it best. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. The rule of 3. Here's a powerful principle: never have more than 3 main priorities at one time. Why 3? Because our minds can't hold focus on 10 things at once without watering them down. A priority, by definition, is something that must come before the rest. When everything is labeled a priority, nothing truly is. A big 3 approach forces trade-offs, which is a good thing. It asks you, what are the 3 outcomes that, if I accomplished them in the next 90 days, would change the game for me? The North Star Goal. To pick your big 3, you first need a North Star goal, one clear result that gives direction to your weeks and days. Think of a North Star goal as a headline you love to read about yourself in 3 months. Launched the online store. Ran a 10K without stopping. Finally decluttered the apartment and set up a creative workspace. Your North Star doesn't have to impress anyone else, it just needs to excite you enough to guide daily effort. Exercise the Big 3 list. If you can, pause here with a notebook or notes app. 1. Write down everything currently demanding your energy: projects, responsibilities, side dreams, personal goals. 2. Circle only 3 that, if completed or advanced significantly, would create the biggest progress or relief. 3. These are your true priorities for the next stretch of time. Everything else becomes either supporting tasks or can wait its turn. This exercise often feels uncomfortable because it forces you to admit you can't do everything at once. But that discomfort is a sign you're getting clear. Story: the teacher's turnaround. Maya, a high school teacher, felt constantly behind. Grading, emails, lesson plans, volunteer committees. She tried every planner and app, but her stress never improved. One weekend, she wrote out all her responsibilities, over 30 items. She circled just 3 that would make the biggest difference: preparing engaging lessons ahead of time, improving her sleep, and setting aside 1 evening a week for family dinner. For the next 2 months, she protected those 3 above all else. To her surprise, her stress went down, her teaching quality went up, and even the smaller tasks got done faster because she wasn't drowning in indecision. Quarterly and weekly focus. A helpful rhythm is to set your big 3 priorities for 90 days, a period long enough for progress, yet short enough to feel urgent. Then, each Sunday or Monday, choose 3 focus points for the coming week that serve those quarterly goals. Finally, each morning, identify the one most important task for that day, the MIT. This cascading structure, quarterly right arrow, weekly right arrow, daily, keeps long-term vision connected to daily action. Protecting time for the important. Clarity is meaningless if you don't defend it on your calendar. Block time for priority work before filling in meetings or errands. Treat these blocks like appointments with your future self, non-negotiable. If possible, schedule high-value work in your personal peak energy hours, whether that's early morning or late evening. A clear calendar beats a long to-do list every time. Decluttering goals. Another hidden drain on focus is carrying too many half-started goals. Every unfinished idea sitting in the back of your mind consumes mental bandwidth. Decluttering isn't just for closets, it's for ambitions too. It's okay to archive or delay a dream you can't pursue right now. You can always return to it later with full attention. Mini-reflection: the 90-day lens. Imagine it's 90 days from now. You look back and see 3 significant wins that make you proud and relieved. What are they? That vision becomes your filter for saying yes or no to new opportunities that pop up this week. Closing thought for Chapter 2. Clarity is power because it turns intention into direction. When you know your top priorities, you no longer measure days by how much you did, but by how far you move toward what matters. As you move into the next chapter, keep your big 3 priorities close. They'll help you decide where to spend your best hours and energy. Next, in Chapter 3, Mastering Energy and Focus, we'll discover how to align your work with your natural energy rhythms so you can do your most important tasks at your best time of day. Chapter 3, Mastering Energy and Focus. You can have the clearest priorities in the world, but if you don't have the energy to act on them, they stay trapped on paper. Productivity is never just a scheduling problem, it's an energy management problem. Think of your body and mind as the engine that drives all meaningful work. If the engine runs on low fuel, no amount of time blocking will make the car move faster. Energy as your first resource. Most of us plan our calendars as if all hours are created equal, but they are. Some hours you feel sharp, alive, ready to tackle challenges. Other hours you're foggy or drained. Focusing your hardest work in low-energy windows is like trying to sprint through mud. Peak productivity isn't about working longer, it's about matching the right task to the right energy state. Know your daily peaks. Nearly everyone has natural peaks and dips across the day, shaped by sleep, hormones, and routine. For many, the first 2 to 4 hours after waking, once fully alert, are best for heavy thinking work, strategy, writing, problem-solving. Afternoons often bring a dip, good for easier, routine tasks. Evenings sometimes give a second, smaller focus peak. There's no universal best hour. The key is to observe your own rhythm for a week. Notice when you feel mentally brightest and when you tend to slump. Match task to energy. Once you spot your pattern, place your most important task, MIT, the one that truly moves your priorities, inside your peak window. Reserve dips for routine work like emails, errands, or tidying. Don't waste peak focus on shallow chores. By honoring your rhythm, the same task can feel half as hard and twice as fast. The 50-10 rhythm. Even in a peak period, attention wanes if you push too long without pause. A proven rhythm for many is 50 minutes of focused work, followed by 10 minutes of deliberate rest. That 10-minute break isn't for scrolling feeds. Use it to stand, stretch, refill water, breathe deeply, or simply close your eyes. Think of it as sharpening the blade, so every cut that follows is cleaner. Rituals that prime the mind. Elite athletes warm up before competing. Knowledge workers need rituals too. Simple cues can tell your brain it's time to focus. Clearing the desk before beginning. Closing browser tabs and silencing notifications. Playing the same instrumental playlist. Taking 3 slow breaths before opening the first document. These actions may seem trivial, but they create a mental doorway between scattered attention and deep work. The power of a focused environment. Your surroundings constantly nudge your behavior. A cluttered workspace invites distraction. A clean, organized one makes concentration easier. Tips: keep only today's active work in sight, store the rest out of view. If possible, have a dedicated spot for focused work, even a small corner at home. Adjust lighting and temperature for comfort. Slightly cooler rooms often boost alertness. A well-designed environment reduces the friction of getting started. Sleep, the unsung productivity tool. No app or planner can compensate for chronic sleep debt. Studies show even moderate sleep loss can reduce concentration and memory as much as mild intoxication. Aim for consistent sleep hours. Your brain loves routine. Consider a digital sunset, avoiding bright screens for 30-60 minutes before bed to improve sleep quality. Hydration, food, and movement. Hydration, even mild dehydration, can drop focus levels significantly. Keep a water bottle nearby and sip steadily. Food, heavy, sugary meals spike energy, then crash it. Lean proteins, whole grains, and moderate portions keep energy stable. Movement, a 2-minute stretch or a short walk between sessions, reoxygenates the brain and refreshes attention. Think of these habits not as extras, but as part of your productivity toolkit. Story: the student who cut study time in half. A college student named Ravi often studied late at night while scrolling his phone, surviving on snacks and coffee. He'd spend 5 hours studying, but barely remember the material the next morning. For one semester he experimented. He moved hard subjects to the late morning window when he was naturally most alert, studied in 50-minute blocks with water breaks, and left evenings for light review or rest. His daily study time dropped to 3 hours. His test scores improved. The secret wasn't more effort, it was better timing and energy care. Mini exercise: your personal energy map. Pause and think about yesterday. When did you feel most focused? When did you hit a slump? Were there foods, breaks, or habits that boosted or drained you? For the next 3 days, jot down energy levels at morning, midday, afternoon, and evening. You'll quickly see patterns to guide your scheduling. Guard your peak hours. Once you've identified your prime focus windows, protect them fiercely. This might mean declining a meeting, delaying email replies, or telling family members you'll be unavailable for that 1 hour. Think of those hours as high-value property. You rent them only to your most important work. Closing thought for Chapter 3. Energy fuels focus. Focus turns effort into progress. If you take away just one idea from this chapter, let it be this: your schedule should follow your energy, not the other way around. In the next chapter, the discipline framework, we'll explore how to build habits and structures that keep you consistent even on days when motivation runs low. Chapter 4: the discipline framework. Clarity points the way. Energy powers the journey. But neither will take you far without the third pillar, discipline. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they act. That's why progress feels unpredictable. Some days they're on fire, other days they can't even begin. Discipline removes that uncertainty. It's the skill of showing up for the work you've chosen, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation versus discipline. Motivation is a spark. It's emotional, fleeting, and unreliable. Discipline is the wiring that keeps the lights on regardless of mood. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait for a motivational speech to do it each morning. You simply do it because it's part of the routine. The goal of this chapter is to help you make key work habits as automatic as brushing your teeth. Start tiny, the 2-minute rule. When a task feels heavy, the hardest part is almost always starting. The 2-minute rule works because it tricks the brain into lowering that starting barrier. Commit to just 2 minutes of the task. Write the first 2 sentences of the report. Open the textbook and review one diagram. Lace up your shoes and step outside for a brief walk. 9 times out of 10, once you start, momentum carries you forward. The magic isn't in the 2 minutes, it's in bypassing the inner resistance that delays action. Habit stacking, link the new to the familiar. A powerful way to create new discipline is to stack a new habit on top of an existing one. This piggybacks on behaviors you already do automatically. For example, after you make your morning coffee, write your day's top 3 priorities on a sticky note. After you close your laptop at the end of work, spend 5 minutes planning tomorrow's focus list. After brushing your teeth at night, read 5 pages of a book, instead of scrolling on your phone. Each time the old habit fires, it cues the new one. Soon the pair becomes inseparable. Environment design, shape the path of least resistance. We tend to think self-discipline lives entirely in our character, but environment often decides who wins, the disciplined you or the distracted you. Remove friction for the good habit. Keep a filled water bottle on the desk, lay out running shoes the night before, keep your notebook open on the table. Add friction for the bad habit. Sign out of distracting social media, keep snacks out of reach, disable infinite scroll feeds on your browser. When good actions are easy and temptations inconvenient, willpower suddenly feels stronger, not because you changed, but because the environment changed. Accountability, the hidden force. Studies show that people who publicly commit to a goal or share progress with a friend or coach are far more likely to follow through. Choose an accountability partner or a small group who knows what you're aiming for. Agree to brief weekly check-ins. Did you do the work you planned? The goal isn't punishment, it's shared encouragement and gentle social pressure. The 5-minute shutdown ritual. Discipline is easier to maintain when each day has a clean start and finish. A simple evening shutdown ritual helps you end work intentionally and begin the next day organized. For example, 1. Review what you accomplished today. 2. Jot down tomorrow's top 3 priorities. 3. Tidy your workspace, even just stacking papers neatly. 4. Close your laptop and say aloud, "Workday finished." This tiny ceremony signals to the brain that you can rest guilt-free, and it reduces next day startup friction. Story: the reluctant writer. Alina dreamed of writing a novel, but kept waiting for inspiration that rarely came. One winter, she tried a discipline experiment. She set a daily rule: open the document at 6 a.m. and write for at least 2 minutes. She stacked the habit after making tea every morning. She left her laptop open on the dining table, so there was no setup excuse. Most mornings, she ended up writing for 30-40 minutes. By spring, she had 80,000 words drafted, something she had failed to do for 5 years while waiting for motivation. Alina's success was not from extraordinary willpower. It came from tiny starts, habit stacking, and a friction-free environment. Mini exercise: identify your keystone habit. A keystone habit is one small behavior that positively influences several others. Examples: preparing a daily plan before checking messages, a 10-minute morning stretch, reviewing finances every Friday afternoon. Pause for a moment. What one small routine, if done consistently, would make your days smoother and support your biggest priorities? Write it down now. This is the habit you'll begin to automate first. Anticipate the slumps. Even with strong habits, some days will be rough, illness, stress, or just low energy. Discipline doesn't mean never faltering, it means returning to the routine quickly after a slip. Have a fallback version of your routine for tough days. If you can't do a full workout, do 5 minutes of stretching. If you can't write a full report section, at least outline the headings. Consistency, even in reduced form, keeps the habit alive. Closing thought for Chapter 4. Clarity points the way. Energy powers the journey. But neither will take you far without the third pillar, discipline. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they act. That's why progress feels unpredictable. Some days they're on fire, other days they can't even begin. Discipline removes that uncertainty. It's the skill of showing up for the work you've chosen, even when you don't feel like it. Chapter 5, Tools and Systems that Simplify Work. You now have clarity on what matters, the energy to tackle it, and the discipline to show up. The next step is to remove unnecessary friction so the path stays smooth. That's where tools and systems come in. Many people assume the right app or gadget will finally make them productive. But a tool without a system is like a hammer without a plan for the house. It won't build anything on its own. This chapter is about choosing simple tools and combining them into repeatable workflows so you spend less time managing work and more time doing it. Less tools, more rules. Every new app promises to change your life. But switching tools too often costs time and attention. True productivity comes from fewer tools, used consistently with clear rules for how and when you use them. Ask yourself, do I really need a new app, or do I need a clear process with the tool I already have? The 3-column task list. A powerful yet low-tech system is a 3-column list. 1 must-do, the few essential tasks tied to your top priorities. 2 should-do, useful but not critical, do these only after the must-dos are finished. 3 could-do, nice extras, these get attention only if there's leftover time and energy. This structure fights the illusion that everything is equally urgent. Even if you love digital planners, keeping a simple paper 3-column list visible on your desk can help you focus. 1 calendar to rule them all. Juggling multiple calendars, work, personal reminders, sticky notes, creates mental clutter. Merge everything into 1 calendar that contains meetings, deadlines, even personal commitments. That way you see the full reality of your week at a glance, and you're less likely to double book or overpromise. Color coding is optional but helpful. For example, red for deadlines, blue for personal, green for deep work blocks. Batch the busy work. Context switching is one of the biggest hidden time killers. Batching similar tasks together minimizes that switching cost. Examples: answer email in 2 or 3 planned blocks instead of every few minutes. Pay bills or do invoicing on a fixed weekday afternoon. Make all phone calls during 1 window. Each batch keeps your brain in the same mode, so you work faster and with less fatigue. Digital declutter. A messy digital environment drains mental energy just like a messy desk. Start with 3 small cleanups. 1. Turn off non-essential notifications. 2. Archive or delete old files you never touch. 3. Organize key folders and bookmarks so you can find what you need in 2 clicks. This isn't about perfection, it's about removing the daily micro-frustrations that slow you down. Automate repetitive steps. If a task repeats the same way every week, ask, can I automate it? Use calendar reminders for routine bills. Set up email filters and templates for frequent responses. Use expense tracking or note-taking apps that sync automatically across devices. Automation is discipline's silent partner. It reduces the number of decisions you need to make. The 2-minute organizing habit. Clutter builds because we postpone tiny cleanups. Adopt a simple rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes to put it away or name a file, do it now. A 2-minute reset at the end of the day, closing browser tabs, clearing your desk, queuing tomorrow's to-do list, saves you far more time the next morning. Story: the freelancer who found 5 extra hours. Carlos, a freelance marketer, used to feel chained to his laptop 10 hours a day. His real work time was eaten by constant email, random admin tasks, and searching for client files. He tried a few simple changes. Batched all client emails to 2 time slots daily. Created standard templates for proposals. Set up a single projects folder with subfolders by client. Within 2 weeks, he was finishing each day 5 hours earlier, not by rushing, but by streamlining his system. Mini exercise, your simplification audit. Pause and reflect. Which recurring tasks drain more time than they deserve? Which tools do you rarely use or keep switching between? Where do you waste minutes hunting for information? Choose just one of those areas to simplify or automate this week. Guard against tool overload. Whenever you're tempted to add a new productivity gadget, pause and ask, will this reduce steps or just add another layer to maintain? Remember, simplicity beats novelty. Closing thought for Chapter 5. Tools are servants, not solutions. A hammer doesn't build the house, your plan and consistent swings do. Keep your systems lean, let your tools do the heavy lifting quietly, and your mind will stay free for the work that truly matters. In the next chapter, Beating Procrastination, we'll tackle the emotional side of productivity, why we delay important tasks, and how to break that cycle for good. Chapter 6, Beating Procrastination. We've built clarity, learned to manage energy, practiced discipline, and simplified our tools. Yet there's one invisible hurdle that can still stop us cold: procrastination. Procrastination isn't just laziness, far from it. It's usually a mix of fear, perfectionism, and overwhelm hiding underneath the surface. This chapter will help you understand why you delay and show you practical ways to finally move forward. The real reasons we delay. Most of us think we procrastinate because we are bad at time management. In reality, the clock isn't the enemy, emotion is. Common emotional triggers include fear of failure, what if I do it and it's not good enough? Perfectionism, wanting every detail flawless before you even start. Overwhelm, the task feels so big you don't know where to begin. Boredom, work that feels dull drains willpower before you begin. Once we name the real reason, we can choose the right fix. Shrink the mountain, micro steps. One proven tactic is to shrink the size of the first step. Big projects feel like mountains. The first action often feels like climbing to the summit in one go. Break it down until the first step feels laughably easy. Don't write the report, just open the doc and write the title line. Don't organize the garage, only clear one shelf for 10 minutes. Don't start exercising, simply put on workout shoes. A small start bypasses the brain's resistance and creates momentum. The 5-minute rule. Similar to the 2-minute start rule we discussed earlier, this strategy promises your brain you'll work for just 5 minutes. Set a timer for 5 minutes, start the dreaded task, and tell yourself you can quit when the timer rings. Most people keep going because the hardest part, starting, is behind them. Visual progress beats mental pressure. Humans love seeing visible progress. When work stays trapped in your head or hidden in digital folders, your brain forgets how far you've come. Try a progress bar drawn on paper. A checklist you physically tick. A whiteboard where you move sticky notes from to do to done. Watching that visible progress fuels motivation. Make the start friction-free. Remove as many startup steps as possible. Keep your writing document pinned and ready to open. Lay out workout clothes the night before. Prepare all materials before sitting to focus. Each barrier you remove shrinks the mental drag of getting started. Reframe the task. If a task feels threatening, your brain treats it like danger and resists. Reframing can soften that resistance. Instead of "I must finish this presentation perfectly," think "I'm just drafting rough ideas for the next hour." Instead of "I need to clean the whole apartment," think "I'm improving the space a little at a time." Changing the story you tell yourself lowers the emotional weight. Accountability check-ins. A gentle but powerful motivator is accountability. Tell a friend, colleague, or mentor what you plan to finish today, then promise a quick check-in later. The knowledge that someone will ask, without judgment, is often enough to push you past procrastination. Story: the unfinished portfolio. Arjun, a young architect, delayed updating his portfolio for months. He told himself he was too busy, but secretly feared his work wasn't impressive enough. One Saturday, he set a timer for 5 minutes just to open the folder and label his best photos. That small step took 10 minutes. He kept going another hour. 2 weekends later, his portfolio was ready. The project that had haunted him for half a year was done. The fear never fully disappeared, but momentum became stronger than hesitation. Mini exercise: your first micro step. Think of a task you've been avoiding, professional or personal. Now ask, what's the smallest, no excuse needed step I can take toward it in the next 24 hours? Write that down. Promise yourself you'll do only that step. Once begun, let momentum decide the rest. Celebrate starts, not just finishes. We often reserve celebration for the end result, but applauding just starting teaches your brain that showing up is already a victory. Reward the first draft, the first 10 minutes at the gym, the first email sent. These are the real turning points. Closing thought for Chapter 6. Procrastination loses its grip when you shrink the first step, remove friction, and measure progress you can see. Remember, motion fuels motivation, not the other way around. As we head into Chapter 7, the distraction detox, you'll learn how to protect your precious focus from the constant interruptions that threaten to derail your progress. Chapter 7, the distraction detox. You've faced procrastination, learned to start small, and built momentum. Now it's time to confront the ever-present enemy of deep work, distraction. We live in a world designed to steal attention. Notifications ping, feeds scroll endlessly, messages buzz, news alerts pop up, all competing for your focus. If you want to protect the progress you've made so far, you must learn to detox your attention. Attention is a finite resource. Think of your focus like a battery. Every time you glance at a notification or flip to another tab, you drain a little power. Even if you quickly return to the task, your brain takes time, sometimes up to 20 minutes, to fully recharge its concentration. This is why you can feel mentally exhausted by noon, without having done much meaningful work. The battery is being drained by 1,000 tiny cuts. The myth of constant availability. A common belief is that to be professional, we must be reachable at all times. But constant availability trades long stretches of meaningful work for quick bursts of shallow response. Real progress needs protected blocks of uninterrupted time. When you cut back on instant responsiveness, you may feel guilty at first, but the quality and speed of your real work will speak louder than instant replies. Single tasking beats multitasking. You already learned in Chapter 1 that multitasking is a mirage. But it's worth repeating. Jumping between 2 tasks or between work and phone alerts causes your IQ equivalent performance to dip sharply in the moment. Single tasking, doing one thing at a time, is not old-fashioned. It's how our brain actually works best. Design your deep work blocks. Here's a practical approach to regain your focus. 1. Pick a 90-minute block, or 60 if you're new to it, dedicated to one high-value task. 2. Silence phone notifications or use Do Not Disturb. 3. Close email and messaging apps. 4. Keep only the materials for that single task in sight. At the end of the block, step away for 5-10 minutes to rest your mind. 2 or 3 of these blocks in a day often accomplish more than 8 scattered hours. Reclaim your environment. Distraction isn't just digital, it's physical too. Declutter your desk, keep only what you need for the current task. Signal focus mode, headphones even without music can deter interruptions. Adjust lighting and seating, make the space inviting to stay put. Small environmental tweaks reduce the friction of staying focused. Scheduled social media windows. Instead of banning entertainment altogether, which often backfires. Schedule specific windows to check social media or personal messages, for example at lunch and early evening. This way you still enjoy connection, but it doesn't bleed into every work session. Micro breaks that refresh, not distract. Scrolling during breaks often leaves your brain feeling more tired. Try instead. Stand up and stretch for 2 minutes. Walk to refill water. Look out a window and focus on something distant to rest your eyes. These micro breaks recharge attention rather than scatter it. Story: the developer's 3-block rule. Sophia, a software developer, was productive but always stressed. Her day was punctuated by chat notifications and quick peeks at social feeds. She adopted a simple rule: 3 90-minute deep work blocks, each separated by a proper break. During those blocks, her phone stayed in another room. Within a week, she felt calmer and completed her coding tasks in about 70% of her usual time, proof that less interruption equals more output. Mini exercise: your distraction audit. Today, take note of every time something pulls your attention away from what you meant to do, whether it's an app ping or a pile of papers on the desk. At day's end, circle the top 3 culprits and choose one to neutralize tomorrow, maybe by turning off a notification or clearing your workspace. Small wins here compound into huge focus gains over time. The cost of unchecked distraction. A distracted life isn't just slower at work, it also steals presence from family, hobbies, and even rest. When your brain is scattered all day, it often stays restless at night. A distraction detox isn't about being strict for its own sake, it's about protecting mental peace as much as productivity. Closing thought for Chapter 7. Attention is your most valuable currency in the modern world. Spend it intentionally. By creating distraction-free islands of focus, you'll discover that many of your biggest tasks demand less time than you imagined. They simply required your full attention. In the next chapter, The Momentum Mindset, you'll learn how to keep your progress steady for months and years without burning out or losing heart. You've learned to focus, manage energy, build discipline, tame procrastination, and defend your attention. Now comes the skill that separates short bursts of success from lasting transformation: momentum. Momentum is what carries you forward after the initial excitement fades. It's the quiet force that lets small daily actions compound into big outcomes over months and years. Progress, not perfection. A common trap that kills momentum is perfectionism. We imagine that real progress means flawless execution every single day. When we inevitably fall short, we label ourselves as failing and give up. Momentum thrives on progress over perfection. Even 60% effort repeated consistently beats 100% effort abandoned after a week. A slightly messy habit done for 100 days will outperform a perfect one done for 5. The power of tiny wins. Momentum feeds on the sense that you're moving forward. This is why celebrating small wins matters: finishing a draft, showing up to exercise even for 10 minutes, crossing off a key task. Each win tells your brain, I'm the kind of person who follows through. That identity shift fuels the next action. Weekly review ritual. To keep momentum alive, you need a rhythm of reflection. Once a week, Sunday evenings or Monday mornings work well. Spend 15 minutes reviewing. 1 wins: what went right this week, even if small. 2 lessons: what slowed you down or drained energy. 3 adjustments: what can you tweak for the coming week. This ritual keeps you course-correcting early instead of drifting for months. Bounce, don't break. Setbacks will come: illness, emergencies, lost motivation. Momentum doesn't mean never missing a day, it means bouncing back quickly after you miss. Have a comeback mindset. If you skipped a workout, do even a light stretch the next day. If you broke a writing streak, write just 1 paragraph to restart. Remind yourself, a stumble is not the end of the road. Build routines that protect energy. Momentum often falters because of burnout, not laziness. To stay consistent for the long haul, protect sleep and rest days like important meetings. Rotate intense tasks with lighter ones to avoid mental fatigue. Keep nourishing hobbies, music, nature walks, reading as part of your week. A well-rested mind keeps the engine running for the marathon. Story, the side project that became a business. Khalid, a full-time teacher, dreamed of starting an online course. He set a rule: work on it for just 45 minutes a day after dinner, no matter how tired, no matter how small the step. Some days all he did was draft one slide or answer a single student email. But he never let the chain break for more than one day. After 8 months, he launched the course, which grew into a thriving side business, all powered by modest daily momentum. Accountability and community. Sharing progress with a supportive group or a single accountability partner can reignite momentum when enthusiasm dips. Hearing "keep going, you're almost there" on a tough week often makes the difference between stopping and pushing through. Mini exercise, your momentum formula. Right now, picture the habit or project you most want to sustain. Ask yourself, 1. What's the minimum daily action I can commit to even on my worst days? 2. How will I track and see my progress? A calendar streak, a progress bar, a journal note. 3. Who can I share this journey with for encouragement? Write those answers down, they're your personal momentum plan. Avoid the all-or-nothing trap. The biggest momentum killer is quitting entirely after a single bad week. Replace the mindset of "I blew it, so it's over" with "I tripped, now I get back up." One misstep never defines the journey unless you stop walking. Closing thought for Chapter 8. Momentum isn't about speed, it's about steadiness. When you focus on progress instead of perfection, review your path regularly, and protect your energy, the path forward becomes surprisingly sustainable. As we reach the conclusion of this audiobook, we'll tie together all the lessons you've gathered: clarity, energy, discipline, focus, and momentum, so you can carry them into your own life with confidence. Conclusion, your path forward. You've reached the end of this journey, and that in itself is worth celebrating. Over the past hour, we've moved step by step through the pillars that turn scattered effort into real, repeatable progress. Let's pause to revisit the road you've just traveled. 1. The productivity myth. We learned that busyness isn't progress, and that focus beats hustle. 2. Clarity is power. You discovered the strength of choosing your big 3 priorities and letting them guide your days. 3. Mastering energy and focus. You saw how aligning tasks with your natural energy peaks multiplies results. 4. The discipline framework. You built strategies like the 2-minute rule, habit stacking, and environment design to keep going even when motivation fades. 5. Tools and systems that simplify work. You cleaned up workflows and let technology serve rather than distract you. 6. Beating procrastination. You learned to shrink the first step and turn dread into doable action. 7. The distraction detox. You protected your attention from constant pings and interruptions. 8. The momentum mindset. You discovered how progress, not perfection, keeps you steady for the long haul. A new way to measure your days. True productivity isn't about the length of your to-do list. It's about how consistently you move closer to what matters. You now have a set of tools to measure success by impact and progress, not activity and hours. Your first next step. Choose one idea from this audiobook that resonates the most right now. Maybe it's protecting a morning deep work block, maybe it's the 2-minute rule, or maybe it's the weekly review ritual. Start with just that single change. Small, well-chosen steps compound into remarkable transformation. Handling the setbacks ahead. You will have off days. That's part of every worthwhile journey. When you stumble, remember, one bad day never erases the effort you've built. Bounce back the next day, keep the chain alive. A final reflection. Close your eyes for a moment, if you can do so safely, and think of the project, habit, or dream that first came to mind at the start of this audiobook. Visualize yourself taking the very next step toward it today, opening the document, lacing the shoes, clearing the desk, making the call. Feel the relief and pride of finishing it at last. That feeling is not far away, it's built one focused day at a time. An affirmation to carry forward. Say it with me quietly or aloud. I focus on what matters most. I respect my time and energy. I choose progress over perfection. I build momentum through small steps every day. I am building the life I actually finish. A thank you. Thank you for giving yourself this hour, for listening, reflecting, and being willing to try a new way of working and living. I hope these ideas stay with you not just as lessons, but as daily companions whenever you feel overwhelmed or stuck. Remember, change rarely comes from a grand overhaul overnight. It comes from a series of small, deliberate choices made again and again. You already have everything you need to start: clarity, energy, discipline, focus, and now momentum. Go build the life you actually finish,